Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my review and honest thoughts of the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I picked this one up around 2 weeks ago. Now I know that I've not been around for the last 2 weeks, so I've not uploaded any videos last week because my little boy was poorly with tonsillitis, so that was not a fun week. I didn't have time to do anything, let alone sit down and film. So we are back this week. He is better, he is back at nursery, and we are going to do a review and first impressions on the Too Faced palette. So if you like the sound of that video, then please keep watching. Make sure you give this a huge thumbs up if you found it helpful, and hit the subscribe button below as well. And let's just jump straight into the video. Okay guys, so we are back. Let's get on with this video. So as I said, I picked up this little guy about 2 weeks ago from Debenhams. This retails at the moment in the UK for £39, so I'm not entirely sure what that works out at in dollars. But £39 for a makeup palette is quite expensive. It's not the first one of the Too Faced palettes that I've purchased. I do have the chocolate bar palette as well, but to be totally honest, I never really use it. So I actually used this palette today when I did my eye makeup this morning. I don't know whether or not it's going to show up on camera, but I've gone for sort of like a peachy brown toned shadow today. So let's open it up and have a quick look. So when you first open up the packaging, obviously you have the palette. Now inside the Too Faced palettes, which I really like, are these little handy booklets. Now you get these in all of the Too Faced palettes pretty much, and it just gives you ideas if you're new to makeup or you're not really sure which colours to pair with which colours. Then they give you a little breakdown inside, so it gives you 3 little eyeshadow looks that you guys can create. So we've got Peaches and Cream, Smouldering Peach, and Southern Belle. So I haven't tried out any of these yet. If you'd like me to do a review, not a review, sorry, if you'd like me to do a tutorial on any of these looks, then give me a shout and let me know in the comments, and I would be more than happy to try that out. I just sort of do my own thing with it at the moment. I'm just getting used to the colours and which ones mix with which, so that booklet would definitely be handy if you weren't new to makeup. Okay, so moving on to the palette itself. Now, I'm not going to lie, the first thing that I thought when I opened this was, what is that rattling noise? I've previously had dupes of these palettes that I've bought on AliExpress, places like that, just to see what the quality and things was like. And they rattle just like this. If somebody gave me this as a gift, I would automatically assume that this wasn't 100% legit, just because of that weird rattling. I can't stop doing it. I think when you pay £39 for a palette, it shouldn't be rattling like that. Now, it's not that I've taken it out and this has happened in my handbag or it's been bumped or anything like that. This happened as soon as I took it out of the packaging, so I don't really know what to say. But the packaging itself is absolutely beautiful, and this is what it looks like. So it's a sort of ombre effect metal container. The back just has the Sweet Peach logo on and just a little bit of the ingredients and the instructions and things like that. So moving on to opening the palette up, which is always my favourite bit. When you open up the palette, this is what you are greeted with. Now they do come with a huge mirror. I've still got the clear sticky over the top of my mirror, but this is what the actual palette looks like. So when I first opened up the palette, the first thing that I noticed, I'm not going to lie, was the fact that there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 matte shades. Now I love matte shades, but I only ever really use them as a transition or in my crease. So I was quite looking forward to the shimmers. Some of these shimmers are really sort of muted shimmers, and some of them are quite chunky glitter, more like a thick highlighter. So the ones that I've used today to create the eye look that I've done today are Nectar. Absolutely obsessed with the shade. This is so good for highlighting the brow bone. So I normally pop that on first, start at the top of the brow and work my way down with the colour just to blend everything in. And you can also use that as a transition as well, so that's really beautiful. Then I went in with Candied Peach, which is this pink. It is pink and it has got specks of glitter in, although I do think that when you've blended it out, I can't see any sort of large chunks of glitter in my eye makeup today, so that's lovely. Then I went in with Just Peachy. This is probably one of my favourite shades in the entire palette. It's a pink shimmer shade and it's just beautiful. It's really bright. I've been using one of the MAC shades for the longest time, and it's sort of like a dark maroon colour, a pale maroon colour, sorry. And I've genuinely always stayed away from pink tones. So these pinky peach tones in this palette were a little bit new for me, and that's why I was so excited to pick it up. So I know that at the moment Makeup Revolution have a palette out called the Chocolate Peach palette, and that is apparently an amazing dupe for this. Okay, so in the palette you get 6 matte shades, roughly matte shades. Some of them look matte, but they've got a slight shimmer to them, so I'm going to say let's just go with 6. So you've got White Peach, you've got Peaches and Cream, Georgia, Puree, Summer Yum, which is this one, and Charmed, I'm sure, up here, which is sort of like a dark brown colour. Moving on to the sort of, I'm going to say shimmer shades. We've got Luscious, we've got Cobbler, we've got Nectar, Caramelised, we've got Bellini, Bless Her Heart, and let's have a look, Peach Pit. This, I'm not really sure if this is a shimmer. This is a sort of purple shade with chunks of glitter in, so it's more of a glitter rather than a shimmer. And then we've got Delectable, which again is quite similar, and Talk Derby to me. This one is a dark purple, I'm not sure whether or not this is going to show up on camera, with bright purple flecks in, sort of flecks and chunks of glitter. I haven't actually used that shade yet, so I can't tell you 100% what that one's like, but I find that the shimmers in this palette are absolutely beautiful. They blend out so easily. Sometimes I feel like I have to put a couple of layers on and really build it up, and I'm always spraying my brush with the MAC Fix Plus. But I absolutely love the colour choices in here. I know that some people have bought this palette and absolutely hate it. I'm one of those people that love it, and I'm still getting used to trying the different colours, like I say, with other shades to try and work out what kind of looks that I can get. So, as I say, this retails for £39 in the UK, and I picked mine up in Debenhams. I know that Makeup Revolution do have a palette out that's called the Chocolate Peach palette, and I think it's available in Boots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to nip in and see if I can actually pick one up. So if you guys want to see a comparison for the £39 palette versus the Makeup Revolution palette, which I believe is probably around £15, something like that, give me a shout in the comment section below and let me know, and I'll be more than happy to pick one of those up and do a review and comparison for you. It would probably be quite fun to do a makeup look with both palettes and use the Sweet Peach palette on one side and the Makeup Revolution palette on the other side to see what the difference in the tones is, how they both hold up throughout the day. I would actually really like to do that, so if you guys would like to see that, give me a shout and let me know. And let's just move on to some swatches, because that's always my favourite part of getting a new palette. Okay, so I'm going to start swatching these. I am going to be doing finger swatches. I know that they can sometimes be a little bit difficult to tell what sort of pigmentation you're going to get, but I find at the moment that when I'm using these, especially because I'm using MAC Fix Plus, there isn't that much difference between the actual swatch that you'll get with your finger and the swatch that you'll get with a brush, dependent, as I say, on which shade you use. So like I say, I'm going to do finger swatches for you. We're going to start off with the top row. So we're going to work our way across in this sort of direction. I'm going to start off with White Peach and swatch that one for you. I have my trusty makeup wipe ready to wipe off any excess. Okay, so this one is White Peach, and this is one of the lightest shades in the palette. Okay, now I do have self-tan on at the moment, so this is showing up probably slightly more than it would do if I had no fake tan on, just because I'm so pale. This is quite similar to my actual skin tone, it's pretty much white. So that's what this one looks like, and it is a matte shade, as I say. Then we're going to move on to the next shade in the palette, which is Luscious. So I'm going to swatch that one for you. Okay, so Luscious is one of the shimmer shades, and as you can see, I'm obsessed with the shade. It's just so pigmented and so shimmery. I probably use it every day at the moment as well. Then we're going to move on to Just Peachy. Okay, so this is the next shade across, which is Just Peachy, and as you can see, this is a pale pink shimmer colour. Again, pigmentation is quite good with this one. I do find though that sometimes it can look a little bit powdery, so there is a little bit of fallout, so just blow that off, and that is Just Peachy. Then we're going to move over to Bless Her Heart, which is the sort of green khaki shade in the palette, and this I think is a shimmer shade. I've not used this one before, so this is what this one looks like. This one actually reminds me of one of the Makeup Geek duochrome shadows. So this again is a shimmer, and it sort of reflects slightly bronzy as well. So that's what this one looks like. Beautiful. Then we're going to move over to Tempting. This is the darker sort of khaki, almost black shade in the palette. So this is what this one looks like. And you can see it's really, really dark. Having a look on camera, it does look slightly different. I would say this is probably more of a matte black shade. For a black, I wouldn't say that the pigmentation was fantastic though. I would probably just use this one in sort of the outer corner if I was looking to sort of darken up some sort of makeup look that I'd created. Okay, so the next shade that I'm going to go into is Charmed, I'm Sure. Again, this is quite a dark tone colour, and this one is sort of a cross between a matte and a shimmer. I think it dependent on what light it's in, it looks slightly different. So at the minute, this is showing up as a matte brown on my skin tone, so that's what this one looks like. Okay, moving on to the second row. So we're going to go in with Nectar, which is the yellow shade that I sort of use to highlight my brow bone. And this is what this one looks like. This one stands out really, really well, just like this one, with the fact that I've got self-tan on. So this is sort of a golden yellow shimmer tone. It's beautiful. Then we're going to move across to Georgia, which again is another shimmer. This is like a pale brown sort of shimmer. And she looks like this. That's actually got quite a few copper tones in as well. I actually really, really like that shade. So I might try that out another day and we'll see how I get on with it. Then moving across, we're going into Candied Peach, which is another peachy pink shade, and it looks like this. This is slightly brighter than the other peach shade in the palette. These, I would say, are more on the pink side than the peach side, I'm not going to lie. And that is a shimmer, sort of glittery shimmer, so that's that one. Then we've got Bellini. Bellini is probably one of my favourite shades in this entire palette. It's just a pink shimmer and it's beautiful. As you can see, it goes on like butter, and it literally, so easy to blend them in as well because the pigmentation is fantastic and the formula is just so creamy. So that one is Bellini. Then we're going to move over to Peach Pit. So this is a sort of dark purple. This looks like it's got some sort of shimmer to it. So let's just swatch it. I haven't used this one yet, so I'm just going to swatch this one. We can see that is sort of a purpley plum with a shimmer. Actually, when it hits the light, it looks really, really beautiful. So this sort of end of the spectrum at the moment are probably my favourite colours so far. No, I'm not. I'm going to use the other arm. So we'll go in with this one, and then we're just going to do the bottom row of the colours so that you can see what they look like. So the first one that I'm going to go into is Peaches and Cream. This is just a matte, really, really pale shade, which is great for transition or for highlighting your brow bone. This one, you can actually barely see on my skin at the moment. As I say, I've got self-tan on, so that's where I swatched it. I don't know whether or not you guys can see it at all. It's like a really pale muted pink, so that's really nice just to blend everything out together. Okay, then I'm going to go in with Georgia, which again is another really, really pale sort of peach matte colour. Now this one takes a little bit of swatching. I would say that the pigmentation with this one isn't fantastic, so let me just... Okay, that barely shows up on my arm, but this is like a really, really muted peach colour, and again, I absolutely love this actually. I think getting it on for a full eye look might be a little bit difficult. Could probably use it as a transition or maybe just to sort of lighten up the actual eye, but this, I mean, it's a really beautiful colour, it just doesn't swatch very well, does it? Okay, then we're going to move on to Caramelised, which is the bottom here. This is like a light brown sort of shimmer. I feel like most of the shimmers in this palette are actually sort of brown colours as well. So it would have been nice if we could have had a few more different sorts of shades. This is beautiful. That's like a coppery brown sort of shimmer. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm obsessed. It actually looks really similar to, which one is it? It looks really similar to Luscious. Not in the colour, which is the second one in on the bottom row. Not the colour, but just the actual consistency. The formula is so soft and buttery. That one just blends so easily. That's definitely going to be one of my favourites. Then I'm moving on to Puree, which is one of the matte shades on the bottom row again. This is sort of like a really cool toned brown. I'll just move a bit closer so you can see. And it's a matte shade, so colour payoff isn't fantastic. I think you would probably have to really go in again with this colour. I used it this morning though, and it looks really dark on camera, but when I was using a brush with this shade, I don't feel like I was getting the same colour payoff that I do with my finger. However, my makeup does look quite dark in the mirror today, so I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. So that is Puree. Then we're going to move over to Summer Yum. This is, again, one of my favourite shades in the palette. This is the sort of peanut buttery kind of colour that's at the bottom, and this again is another matte shade. So let's swatch that one next. Again, because this is, I feel like the matte shades in this palette are probably not as pigmented as the shimmers. The shimmers are beautiful, do not get me wrong, absolutely obsessed with them. The matte shades, now that I'm actually swatching them all together like this, do leave a little bit to be desired. I haven't actually sat down. When I first got the palette, I didn't actually swatch them all, so this is the first time that I'm actually swatching them and comparing them on myself. So that just looks really, really flaky to me. I don't know if you guys agree. It's a really, really muted sort of browny, peanut buttery kind of colour. Like I say, I'm not a huge fan of that swatch, I'm not going to lie. And then the last one that we've got is Talk Derby to Me, which is the bottom. Now this comes across from the palette, if you can see, like a dark purple with really light purple reflexing, chunky bits of glitter. So I'm going to swatch this one. I don't really hold out many high hopes for this shade. I have a feeling that when I swatch it, going off the other ones, that it's just going to look black. So let's swatch this one next. There we go, yeah, exactly. That looks absolutely nothing like it does in the pan at all. The swatch that I've got there has got the smallest amounts of glitter in. I don't even know if you guys are going to be able to see it. What is that even about? Why? What an absolute waste of a space in an eyeshadow palette. Surely it would have been better, excuse me, to have just had the purpley glittery, turned that into some sort of shimmer, because that is doing absolutely nothing for nobody. What an absolute waste. I do genuinely feel like that is a waste. So, these are the colours all together. Let's have a quick look. This is what they all look like. Once the shimmers have sort of pared down, obviously I've had my hand leaning on my knee as well for this arm, so some of the shimmers look like they've worn off. I didn't put anything on my arms before I started doing the swatches. I haven't put any MAC Fix Plus on. Usually when I'm putting eyeshadow on, I'll go in with the MAC Paint Pot, just so that I've got a clear base for putting everything on, and then I'll put some sort of eyeshadow primer over the top of it just to try and hold everything together. I haven't done that today, so I don't know if that is having an impact on this, but now that these colours are all together, they do look quite muted. The shimmers are still quite shimmery. The matte shades really let me down in them swatches. They're quite powdery as well. I've literally just blown that to try and get some of the excess off from where I was wiping my finger inside them. All in all, I absolutely love this palette. However, Too Faced, get your act together. These mattes are just not good enough. I would say out of all of them, there's probably 3 matte shades in here that I'm just not impressed with, and I'm really not impressed with Talk Derby to Me, which is the black sort of purpley, glittery colour at all. However, saying that, there's so many colours in here that I absolutely love. Like I say, the shimmers are by far my favourite. So if you guys would like to see the comparison with this and the Makeup Revolution, is it called Chocolate Peach? Chocolate Peach palette. Like I said before, give me a shout down in the comments and let me know, and I would be more than happy to do that. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you give me a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below, and leave me any comments. If you've got this and you love it, drop me a comment. If you've got it and you hate it, drop me a comment and let me know. And I will be trying out some more looks with this over the next few weeks. So if you guys want to see a tutorial of how I created this eye look that I'm wearing today, as I say, I only use this palette to do this. So if you want to see this look, give me a shout and let me know in the comments, and I will happily make a tutorial video for you. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.